Hi, just want to tell you a little bit more about another deep dive into our Improving Tracheostomy Care programme where we've collected an absolute ton of data. What we wanted to do was look how effectively we use the NOMAD tool, and you'll hear about the NOMAD tool from Professor Tracy Finch in the quality improvement section of the symposium. So Marie-Claire Healy was a medical student working with us in Manchester, and she undertook a project where she looked at staff engagement using the NOMAD questionnaire. Now, NOMAD is a lot more complicated than me calling it a measure of engagement. It's broken into different constructs. There's 4 constructs, and if we look at them quickly on the screen, you can see that the first construct is all about coherence, and that's about understanding that this might be a different way of working, having a shared understanding, knowing how any intervention affects the nature of your own work, and seeing the value of the intervention. The second part is about cognitive participation, so knowing that there's key people going to drive change forward, believing that participating is actually a legitimate part of your role, being open to working with colleagues in new ways, and continuing to support the intervention. The third construct is about collective action. So can you see a way to easily integrate these interventions into your existing work? The fact it's going to disrupt some working relationships, having confidence in people's ability to use the intervention, assigning work appropriately, making sure there's sufficient training and resources, and that you're supported adequately by management. And finally, the fourth construct is reflexive monitoring, being aware of reports about the effects, staff agreeing the intervention is worthwhile, valuing the effects of the intervention, seeking feedback, and knowing how to modify and work with the intervention in the future. We collected a lot of data from a lot of different staff groups at a lot of different time points throughout this project. And what we were able to do is to track how the staff members responded to the programme using these NOMAD metrics. They're quite easily visually summarised by using these petal charts. So each of these petals represents a construct, and each of the points on the petals represents one of the questions. So question 1 from construct 1, question 2, question 3, etc. Construct 2, construct 3, and then construct 4. This is a baseline, and what you can see is that our sites were pretty well engaged and motivated at the start of the programme. If we flick through to the middle of the programme, you can see that the petals expand. And so the further out these petals grow, the higher the scores from the NOMAD. And so we can pretty safely conclude that sites became more engaged. This is all the sites, so all the reports from all the sites. And if we move to the end of the programme, the metrics still grow, but they didn't grow quite so much. So staff became increasingly engaged throughout the programme. Some elements of the constructs staff were more engaged than others, and that's what we're diving more deeply into at the moment to understand whether it was strong leadership, resources, or some of those barriers and enablers that we had to unlock to make change happen. This is an overview of another way of presenting that data. So we've got the coloured boxes represent the start, and then the outlines show where we finish. So every construct, the engagement metrics seem to improve. But from this programme, we concluded that NOMAD was a very valid way of tracking the engagement of staff as we tried to assess the impact of these complex changes on our complex systems. Thank you for listening.